Imagine waking up not in a cozy bed, but in the freezing darkness at a depth of half a kilometer. The water around you is -1 degree Celsius. You can barely see anything because your eyes are almost completely destroyed by parasites. You move so slowly that any normal predator would overtake you in seconds. It takes you over 100 years to grow to a decent size, and even longer to have offspring. Welcome to the life of the Greenland shark, the longest living vertebrate on the planet, and one of the most unfortunate. Hey everyone, today we're diving into why being a Greenland shark is an absolute nightmare stretched over several centuries. This isn't a cute story about an ancient giant. This is the story of how evolution played a very cruel joke on one of the largest predators of the Arctic. Ready to plunge into the icy hell? Let's go. The cold that kills speed. The Greenland shark is the only shark that feels comfortable in the Arctic all year round. Water temperature ranges from -1 to +5 degrees Celsius. For most fish, that's already a death sentence. Muscles fail, metabolism drops to zero. Its metabolism is deliberately slowed down to survive in such cold, but there's a heavy price to pay. Its average speed is a pathetic 0.34 meters per second. The maximum is around 0.74 meters per second, roughly 2.6 kilometers per hour at top speed. For comparison, a seal can easily reach 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. Even a human wearing fins is faster. Picture this. You're a massive shark, 5 to 7 meters long and weighing over a ton. Meanwhile, seals, fish, and rays are darting around you. You try to hunt, and you crawl like a sleepy snail. Biologists believe it mainly catches sleeping seals or scavenges on carcasses, an ambush hunter in permanent turtle mode. Pretty brutal, right? And now for the worst part. If a seal suddenly wakes up, you can't do anything about it. You're simply too slow. Your life is an endless wait for your prey to die or fall asleep on its own. Blindness and parasites, your constant companions. Almost all adult Greenland sharks are practically blind. The culprit is a tiny parasite called Amatoka elongata that attaches itself directly to the eyeball. It causes ulcers, mineralization, and swelling. The eyes gradually get destroyed. Many sharks can only see blurry shadows or nothing at all. Imagine you're a massive giant crawling through the icy gloom, hoping something edible swims by. A nightmare for any living creature. You grow at an excruciatingly slow pace, less than 1 centimeter per year. That's slower than many trees. To reach a respectable length of 4 to 5 meters, and some grow up to 6.4 to 7 meters, it can take anywhere from 100 to 200 years or more. Females don't reach sexual maturity until they're around 150 years old, at a length of about 4.2 meters. Males mature a bit earlier, around 2.8 meters, but still after a century of life. Think about that. By the time you're finally ready to reproduce, entire human empires could have risen and fallen. And when you do reproduce, the pregnancy lasts an unbelievable 8 to 18 years. Yes, almost 2 decades carrying developing pups inside you. The litter size is modest, typically 2 to 10 pups, though some estimates suggest a female might carry hundreds of eggs that don't all survive. Over an entire lifetime that can stretch 300 to 400 years plus, one female might produce only a few hundred offspring at most. Compare that to other sharks that can pump out dozens of pups every year or two. Your reproductive strategy is the ultimate slow burn, and in today's world, it's a catastrophic weakness. While you're patiently waiting through centuries to have babies, fishing nets, trawlers, and bycatch can wipe you out in an instant. One lost mature female represents not just one life, but decades, even centuries of potential descendants that will never exist. the population recovers at a glacial pace, which is exactly why the species is listed as vulnerable. Evolution gave you the gift of extreme longevity, but paired it with extreme vulnerability. Hard fact: the oldest studied Greenland shark was estimated as around 392 years old, with a margin of error. It was already swimming when Columbus sailed to America in 1492. It only reached sexual maturity sometime in the 1800s. Let that sink in. This creature has outlived entire human civilizations, while barely growing up. Your body is a walking chemical factory. To survive in sub-zero waters, your tissues are loaded with urea and trimethylamine oxide, or TMAO, compounds that act like natural antifreeze, preventing ice crystals from forming in your blood and cells. The downside: your meat is extremely toxic to most animals, including humans. Eat it raw or improperly prepared, and you'll experience shark drunkenness, intense vomiting, diarrhea, convulsions, loss of coordination, neurological symptoms, and in extreme cases, it can be fatal. The high urea breaks down into ammonia, while TMAO turns into trimethylamine, basically turning your flesh into a potent poison. Indigenous Inuit and Icelandic communities have known this for centuries. They developed a long, laborious process to make the meat edible, fermenting it for months, sometimes up to 6 or 7 months, drying it and repeatedly changing the curing environment to leach out the toxins. The result is hakarl, the infamous Icelandic fermented shark dish with a strong ammonia smell and cheese-like texture. It's a delicacy, but only after humans have spent enormous effort neutralizing your built-in chemical defense. Even in death, you remain dangerous. Scavengers that try to eat your fresh carcass risk getting sick. Fishermen often discard you as worthless bycatch because your toxic liver oil is no longer in high demand and your meat requires too much work. You are literally a toxic barrel drifting through the ocean, too poisonous to be easily consumed, too slow to escape modern fishing pressure. Humanity, your greatest nightmare. In the past, you were massacred for the oil in your liver, used for lamps and lubricants. Today, it's mostly bycatch, up to several thousand individuals per year. You can't replenish those losses. Climate change, pollution, and ship noise all hit you hard. Your population has already declined sharply over the last several centuries, and recovery will take hundreds of years. One lost adult female means dozens of generations that will never exist. Why this is both fascinating and deeply sad. Being a Greenland shark means living an incredibly long life while barely living at all. You are a ghost of the Arctic, a slow, blind, lonely giant that has witnessed centuries of human history but can barely catch its own dinner. You survived where others freeze solid in minutes. You are at the top of the food chain, yet you barely move. You are practically immortal by nature standards and completely helpless in the modern world. This is the perfect example of how extreme adaptation becomes a curse in a changing world. Extreme longevity plus very late maturity means catastrophic vulnerability. If you enjoyed this deep dive into dark waters, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell me in the comments which other weird and brutal sea creature should we dissect next. Maybe the giant squid or the blobfish. Thank you for joining me on this icy journey. Take care of the ocean. Creatures older than entire civilizations live there. See you in the next one, friends. And don't become Greenland sharks in your own life. Move faster and don't be afraid to change.